All right. Shanelle Infante. There are so many fan moments of your work. I think it started with the cohort that we did at Black Image Center when all of us were sharing work and we all had that one folder that we were like, oh yeah, there's nothing in there.
Right.
And everyone that shared that folder, the reaction was audible and palpable, but specifically I think that you present as a very like warm, gentle, deep thinking individual. And there is an energy to you personally, but then seeing your work, it's so like there's a almost an explosion of color, the saturation that I love, and a very cinematic quality to it. And it was definitely one of those, oh no, there's so much more behind this. So being able to talk more, invite you into this research practice strictly selfishly so I could be like, what is she looking at? Because like, why are these the references? And then for week 5 for you to be like, okay, so this may seem weird, but I think that I don't want to make things for other people.
Yes, my big aha moment, which was like, yeah.
How did that feel, understanding that just because you have been able to do something well doesn't mean that you're forced to continue doing that? And how do we arrive to this?
So, yeah, it's funny because this is something that I've always wanted to do, but it really took being here in these like last few weeks that I really broke open and was like, okay, this is the thing that I've just been kind of scared to say out loud for some reason. But yeah, I'm a fine art photographer. I specialize in vibrant cinematic portraiture. Most of my work is centered around like personal freedom, self-exploration, beauty, definitely like this sense of like fierce femininity that I'm always really drawn to.
Yeah.
And the way that I really want to focus on presenting that work is through public art installations, self-produced publications, which that's what I'm most familiar with, and short films.
Well, we definitely can see that it's been around for a while.
Right.
You grew up on the East Coast, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about like your backstory. Like, how do we get to Shanelle right now, and how does that play into the reference points?
Yeah, so these photos here are all photos of my grandfather's that I grew up really just always looking at old family albums. I've always been sneaking up into my attic as a kid and just like looking through all the boxes, looking through all the photos, vinyl records. There was a Blockbuster down the street from my house that me and my mom, they were going out of business, and we literally went inside the dumpsters and brought back boxes and boxes and boxes of VHS tapes. So I feel like doing all those things at a really young age like started this love for things that felt nostalgic to me, and definitely for movies, and different like textures and colors, and just like really started this world that goes into all of these references that keep going. But yeah, all of my references, all the things that I've been inspired by really start with cinema and the theater. Like I love the theatrics, I love the drama, I love like the wigs and the super tight like beauty shots. Some of my favorite filmmakers are Pedro Almodovar, whom I'm obsessed with, and his strong uses of color. And so this kind of leads into this whole world that I'm inspired by.
Seeing a lot of things that make sense for kind of the surreal, hypersensory things that pull from a lot of the, you know, you go from 70s to the 90s of like the color usage and the vibrancy of it. But then, you know, we have, you know, Interview and Nowness and, You know, we have, what are these cities? This is New
So
York.
it's New York, Los Angeles, and London.
Got you. And then these films, we got Lost in Translation. Is this
Paris, Texas. Paris is Burning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we got Twigs.
FK, Twigs, Rosalia, and Bjork.
Totally makes sense. Definitely was there for that night. This was an amazing night.
I was not there.
This was the Solange at the concert hall. But yeah, just like going to the theater, going to the opera.
That's at the Whitney, the
oh yeah.
Alvin Ailey
Yeah.
exhibition. He's a choreographer.
And then this one was.
This is just a representation of spaces I like to be in that are very old and have a lot of like, just like a maybe vintage, a lot of character.
Yeah.
I love spending time in like old school cafes, and specifically that's one in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it feels like people talk about being an old soul, but you're like the old soul of an elder, but for when they were like popping in their 20s. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like channeling that, which makes sense for the feeling of all of these people have this like, they've been here before, but they're revisiting it as like that poppin' 20-year-old from a woman in their 90s. You know what I mean? Like there's that wisdom, but still it's like, I'm not dead yet, so what else are we doing?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about these references that you have here and where you see them exemplifying traits that match you and as well as that make sense to the work that you're putting out into the world.
So this is like my dream dinner party guest list, first of all. Like, I'm obsessed with all these women for different reasons, but I think the main thing that they all have is that they're so like unapologetic with how they pour their like personal aesthetics and things that they themselves gravitate towards. Like, it's all very personal in the work that they put out, whether it's music, film, fashion, like all of those things. It has such a bold expression to everything that they do, and I really love that they dominate in these like very male industries, and to me it's just confirmation that when you put yourself out there and when you really just are your most authentic self, you'll find your people.
Absolutely.
And so I like to have these women as like, you know, these are like my goals, my personal goals.
Great pantheon. And also, this is a very late running dinner party. For sure.
I'm like, it'll happen.
And like,
it'll happen.
But I can see you all running into each other in spaces like this, like, you know, these intimate dinners and these bookshops. But I'm really fascinated. You talked about this space a lot, and I feel that this represents kind of the overlap of all of your influences, all the things you love in one place. Talk a little bit specifically about what this space is, how you came across it, and why it puts in context the work that you do.
So this is a bookstore / cinema in Florence that I went to last year, and it just blew my mind because I saw pictures of it, but I didn't know it was real. I was just like, this can't be real. And when me and my boyfriend went to this place, we spent like 2 days. We didn't even leave. We like left, came back, like anything we did, we just came back and sat in there. So it's really amazing because there's a bookstore, there's a cinema, there's a restaurant on the corner, like, do not have to leave, and they just like put these amazing films on loop all day, and so that's just ever since I saw that and actually like realized that it was a real place. I think it really like ties a lot of those things that I'm interested in together, books, you know, films, and just being in these really architecturally just like grand spaces.
And there's something about immersing yourself into an emotion, which is something that we've kind of talked about before, especially when it comes to trying to revisit memory, recreate the feeling of memory, and how do you embody that. And so I know a lot of your work, you know, being able to have people engage with it through your website or through publications that you've done or through exhibitions that you're looking to do. Talk a little bit about what that looks like, from short films to those publications to the scale of the public art installations that you just see the work that starts photography, cinematic, and then can live in these different ways.
Yeah.
Well, let's walk through each of these really quick.
So, yeah, as a photographer, I'm really interested in people experiencing my work in person, because that's what I want to do when I see work. Like, I'm kind of tired of seeing things just through our phones and through the screen, so I really want people to be able to pick a book up and flip through the pages, or like see a moving image on the screen, or be able to step into the work itself, like something similar to the this reference, which is at the New York City Ballet.
Which that's incredible, like 60 feet printables
it's just,
of your work.
It seems like such a grand thing, and to see that people actually make these things happen is so inspiring to me. So I'm really interested in moving towards that. Like anything that I do, I really want to make sure that there's a physical element to it that people can actually experience.
But then also something they can hold or revisit in whatever medium.
Yeah, or like walk into, and,
Live from Highland Park. We've pulled a few references before just to give an idea of like contemporaries. So we have, Nell Medrano, Jen Kuru, Nadili Cohen, Elisabetta Porodina, and Paolo Roversi. This, I think, was one of the references that you showed me that it just clicked with. It was like, no, this makes the most sense from an immersive experience with visual work, parallel to fashion and architecture and spatial design and urban design, but all seamlessly running together. But it's like, how do you give someone a way to walk through a memory? And I think that all of these give references to that.
Right.
When it comes to the scale of the work that gets put into presenting this work and the value of those things, are you like close in like value and price line for a lot of these things? Are you on the higher end, medium end of the spectrum? Like, where do you fall for the things that you're putting into the world?
I feel like this is pretty close to where I'm at and to where I want to be. I would say, like, as far as everything from Burnell, she's an amazing photographer, and I just love that she put out this editorial magazine that she casted. She shot everything, like it's self-produced, and I'm really inspired by that. Rebirth is Necessary is something that changed my life.
But having someone set aside those types of budgets to be able to back these things, it's about accurate for those.
Yes.
Right. So when it comes to the timeline for putting something together like this, so someone's ready to fund this project, right? So, Gucci's like, okay, cool, we want to feature this public art installation of your work during Freeze. What's the client journey for that? What does it look like to walk them through what you need?
So it would start with a request for proposal, which is something that people can access on my website. From there, we'll have a consultation where we can discuss the project scope, do like sketches, just talk initial ideas, and really figure out what they're looking for and what I can make happen. Do a site visit to the space, usually probably more than one, not just one, but with myself and the art curator or the art consultant that I'm working with. Timeline and budgets would be the next step, like really going through all of the logistics, how much it's going to cost, what can we do within the budget constraints. Materials and fabrics, which would probably be my favorite part, just like going through, doing the samples, prototypes, like
how is the work going to be presented?
Yeah, exactly. And once we have all of these things, we can actually go into the fabrication and the install. I think usually, preferably, those things would take up to a couple weeks. And then we would just focus on the opening event and having media coverage, press, all of these things. And then usually I would say they would stay up for between 6 to 12 weeks, and hopefully more. And then that same team would go in and handle like the installation process.
And hopefully a museum is like, we want to acquire that and take care of that, for sure.
I mean, permanent.
Listen, they ain't dumb. But this is also some places where
Yeah.
those things could be archived, right? So these public art installations being canonized through press, blog write-ups, things of that nature, self-produced publications on that, like literally the show catalog of some of those things.
Right,
and
yeah.
any of the short films showing up in other spaces, which also makes sense, but also shout out to being a short film acquired by A24. Like, we love an art film that becomes a cult classic.
Right.
This is very interesting because I wonder how many people have thought about what it takes as far as like an organization chart to deliver on a public art installation.
Yeah,
So
it takes a village. It takes a village.
through all of these things it's a good guideline. Again, I'm sure that there's room for flexibility, but being able to visualize this, it definitely shows anyone coming to you that Shanelle should not be doing all the things. It's
yeah, for sure.
like,
I
if you ever feel burned out, you're doing all
this
this.
experience too, I'm like, I usually just do things alone, and this is the first time I'm like, this is definitely a large scale project.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need help.
Listen, well, speaking of that help,
Right.
very specific. What do you need?
So yeah, the things that I'm definitely looking for are grant writers, grant opportunities in general, but I think grant writers are the top thing that I'm looking for to be able to fund these projects. Artist residencies, definitely preferring international opportunities, anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and curators who are specializing in public art installations.
For sure, because you
If you know
definitely
any
want
of
someone
people.
that knows how to do the things.
Yes.
You guys heard it here. We'll start thinking about who to send over to contact, but people can find you.
So this is my website, it's kind of hard to read, and this is my email. You guys can contact me, and we can chat.
Cool. Anything you'd like to leave everyone with? Any thank yous? Any words of wisdom?
Just thank you to everyone involved in the cohort and everyone for being here today too. Jason, you already know how I feel. This experience has changed my life, and yeah, I'm so excited for the future and just being able to bring these things into reality. So.
Well, let's get someone that curates in London to get you overseas very soon. Shanelle Infante,
Right here.
everyone.